In this video, we're going to talk through how to build out an Obsidian system that's actually useful and productive. I know because this is what I use for myself every single day, because if you're not careful, these like quote unquote productivity systems can run away and steal way more time than they possibly ever save. Ask me how I know. Judging by the YouTube comments I get on my videos like this and others, we've all had exactly that same experience. My personal favorite was somebody looked at my dashboard and they called it the procrastination final boss, which I thought was just perfect because I can absolutely relate. I know exactly where you're coming from. You look at this, right, and it looks like all the other stupid productivity products that, you know, don't actually work. Like, great, you can track your habits and look how many YouTube subscribers I have. And like, if that's all you're doing, yeah, I agree. Really dumb. But obviously that's not all we're doing. Otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. So today that's what I want to talk about. How I organize this vault to be helpful and not just like a procrastination, I guess. And how we break it down into 3 parts, right? Like how you keep your environment completely provider agnostic. All this information, all these workflows are yours. You can just grab it and slot it in wherever it is that you're working. How you keep your ideas completely isolated from AI inputs. And how you can build out an intelligence layer that actually tells you exactly what you should be spending your time on. If you're the type of person that wants to grab the templates and just get out of here, that's okay too. I'll make sure to leave the links to all the resources in the description there. There'll be some prompts and the link to the free starter vault. But if you just want this entire thing packaged, delivered, all in one, right? That's also available as a whole in my premium membership of my school community, which is also linked in the description. Let's get into it. So this is my Obsidian vault. This is how I've kind of landed on using it. I've got my Hermes agent up here, my calendar, the graph, the local terminal. So I'm running my AI agent locally through here. And then here is the file system. Okay, pretty straightforward, but I kind of want to explain how we got here and how I landed on this in the first place. Obsidian has been around for a really long time. So why is it getting so much traction now, right? The reason we like it is because it's completely local, right? All of these files are yours. They're just text files. So even just from like a note-taking perspective, this has an advantage over things like Evernote, for example. I've heard some horror stories of people trying to get their information from these other providers. So Obsidian gets rid of all of that. This is your information, okay? So even if Obsidian dies in 10 years, all of these files can come with you wherever you want to go. You can just open it up on any different computer, right? And that also works for your different AI platforms. You can take this structure and plug it into Claude Desktop, Claude Code, Codex, Desktop, whatever desktop apps they come out with, Hermes, whatever it is, this is your information to do with what you want, which is great. It's completely provider agnostic. The other neat part about Obsidian is it uses a front matter with these markdown files. So what that means is essentially you can tag all your ideas and it's really easy to link them together. Okay, so you can see here, I had a task on my day in March where it was like, check your spam folder. And that got tagged with Gmail, inbox, spam, follow-up. It says what we did. So I don't just have to search this title. I could, but if I put in any of these tags or anything involved in this front matter, this note will come up and I'll be able to know that I cleared my spam folder on this date. This is what happened and why, right? And this is visualized on this here graph down here on the left. This is just a baby graph, but for example, I could hover over school community growth, which is what that says if you can't read it, and all related files, folders, skills, all that stuff will pop right up in this graph. So I can just like click this, it'll show me the sources and it makes it really easy. Or of course there's the traditional search, so you don't have to use the graph, but I don't know. I think it's kind of cool seeing how it's all linked together. The problem with this though, with these fancy folders and front matters and whatnot, is you still have to fill them in yourself. And that is the single biggest point of failure with most productivity apps. It's not the app itself or how it's organized. It's between the chair and the monitor, right? It's this guy. You have to have some sort of level of discipline or consistency in order to actually like do this, and a lot of us can't be counted on it. The huge eye roll with productivity apps comes in is just that point, I think. My experience with this directly came from Notion. I really love the app, I love the customization, and I wound up spending a ton of time like tweaking things and making it look nice and setting up automations, and it was a lot of work. I was really busy inside a productivity app that made me feel productive, but that's not the point of productivity apps. It's not to make you feel productive, it's to actually be productive, and that's why these sorts of systems are getting a second wind now, is because AI takes that friction and kind of removes it, right? All that input stuff, all this boring formatting, AI can just take care of for you. So I chose to do it in my local terminal, but this is the cool part, is you can pop open Codex, open up your folder, right? For me, my Obsidian vault is right here. We'll just import the MCP servers and stuff, and here you go. Now AI, you can just talk to it. It'll go and read what it needs to understand what's going on in the folder, which is what we'll get to in a second. And it takes care of that input for you. It's like, hey, can you add buy coffee to daily note? Something stupid just to prove that it's working, okay? We'll go over here, update today's daily note directly, first checking daily note naming template, and it'll do that in my daily notes. If you want to check the files, you can do that over here. Daily notes down to today, right? Added by coffee to today's daily note. Boom. So you can run your Obsidian Vault inside these different AI workflows, right? I hope you can see where we're going with this. And then if you check at the top, it's got the metadata. All of this is connected and you can do whatever it is that you need to. This is why people are really excited about this, is because it takes these productivity tools that we typically have trouble with and it makes them behave, right? It makes them work as advertised, which is inarguably awesome. Except if AI has access to this stuff and it's going to be doing all of this work for you in this vault, I think it is so important to make sure that you separate what AI generates from what you actually think. So if you're looking at this system so far as a second brain, then these are two separate hemispheres, right? The first one is your human side and the second is the AI side, and they're completely separate. We're going to start with the human side because, yeah, we'll map out the AI machine and what it's going to do for you and whatnot, but you can't do that accurately until you have a clear idea of like what it is that you're actually doing in this thing to begin with. You know what? I'll just pop this open in the folder structure so you can get a real sense of exactly what's going on here. So the human side I've just labeled honestly as human. You can see it's the same thing over here in the file explorer. So we'll just open this up. We've got inbox, daily notes, tasks. All of this sort of stuff is pretty intuitive outside of the inbox. The inbox is all about making sure things are dealt with, but when you have the bandwidth to deal with them. Okay, so whether it's remembering to take the trash out or whatever, just simple examples, or there's an idea you have that you want to make sure you give proper attention later. Inbox is very important to make sure that you can tackle that stuff, but you also stay on task with what it is that you're doing right now. So it's as simple as I'll be working on a project and then I'll have an idea pop into my head and I just write it down and continue on. Okay, because the way I think of it, your brain only has so many resources to pull from at any one time. So when I have an idea pop into my head, I almost visualize it like a literal marble rolling around in my skull, drawing attention away from what it is that I'm doing right now. So then I just take that marble, I put it away somewhere, and I can go and look at my bag of marbles at the end of the day and see what was worth addressing, but like when I have time to check it out. So I'm not forgetting anything, nothing's falling through the cracks. I'm making sure that the priorities I have for the day aren't being pulled away from, right? Like I'm not going and checking my email because I remembered to go and reply to somebody or whatever. I'm finishing the job, and then when I have bandwidth, I've got this inbox of things that I have to deal with, you know? I can't really quantify exactly how much of an impact this has had on my productivity. I just know that I used to have a struggle with getting everything done, and now I have less of a struggle getting everything done, and I'm actually like able to keep track of what it is that we should do. If you take nothing else away, you should definitely try the GTD system, Get Things Done system. I didn't invent it, but like this is the biggest single takeaway from that I had that's made an impact. This is fairly easy to set up. I've got a few setup videos as well in terms of like how to organize these and how to get these rolling, and I'll link those in the description like I said. But the big thing is just making sure that your ideas are captured verbatim and kept separate from AI generations and whatnot, okay? Second half of this second brain is the machine side, and that's essentially everything else, everything we give AI access to. It all lives on its own separate island. But if we're gonna make sure that AI actually follows these rules and knows exactly what to do, we need to give it like a set of instructions and maps and teach it exactly how to use this vault so it doesn't go and break the rule. All these different AI providers will have this instructions file at the root of whatever project they're working on, but they have different naming conventions. I, for example, use Codex most often, so they call it agents. That's OpenAI's way. If you're using Anthropic, they use Claude as their instructions file. Google is Gemini and so forth. It's all pretty much exactly the same thing, where you open this up and it's just like onboarding and guidance for the agent that loads at every session so it knows like what it's talking about. So in this case, we're going to tell it exactly what's going on in this vault, give it a map and a set of instructions, how it can pull up information, teach it about the properties, links, all that sort of stuff. The nice thing about this is this instructions file makes sure the agent knows exactly how to follow the rules, and it's also loadable, if that's a word, anywhere you want to use it, right? So I can go over to Codex, open up this project here, right? Let's open my existing EMAI vault folder. And if I look over in the folders, right, it's got this agents folder here. So any tasks I give it, it's going to read this first and understand the convention. So the agents file manages inputs and makes sure that everything is going according to plan. But the other thing I like to do is make sure that I put agent files that the AI reads, but I tend not to, in this folder as well, so it knows exactly where to look. And of course, that's also in the map. A good example of that is workflows. So this is where I keep all of my skills. So for example, if I was just starting this vault and I wanted to run the interview skill, I would go /interview. Agent's already primed to look here for that skill. Other than that, I mean, it's good to go. It knows how to navigate the vault. It understands the goals, how to sync things up just because of that agents file. And it knows to put all of its outputs in here, not to contaminate the human side of that. Obviously, you don't want AI paraphrasing your thoughts and then feeding you back information that's like what it thinks you meant and not what you actually said later on down the line. After parts 1 and 2, we've got a really well organized note-taking and personal knowledge management system with an AI that knows how to help us out with that and actually play by the rules. But I find that there's a big gap there, and this is where a lot of people start to throw the accusations of like procrastination around. Okay, part 3 is about getting the most out of this, and I kind of think of it like taking that brain we just built and like putting it into a cyborg body or like an environment that we can actually like do stuff with, right? And this isn't about like the flashy dashboards or like tracking metrics or like neat habit trackers or anything like that. It's about identifying the difference between being busy and being productive. Identifying the 20% of your actions that have 80% of the result. This is honestly where I started to lose some people and why I wanted to make this video, because there's a lot of comments I get where people look at dashboards like this and it's like I can feel the eye roll through the screen. And it's because YouTube is so full of people hyping dashboards and just like things that don't actually matter because they're flexing on a model and trying to get views. I'm not just like tracking social media metrics or like my sleep score or like keeping track of habits or anything like that. The bigger takeaway from this is the correlation. Like, how do these things work together? So that I can honestly look back on any day, like through the daily log, and see that like when I do this, this is how it affected my revenue. This is how it affected my mood. This is how much time it takes. Maybe I have more time for my family. Maybe I have less. But like with that level of insight, I get really, really good at figuring out what is actually important and what is like driving me towards what I want to do and what is not. From there, it gets really easy to plan the day with that level of insight, right? Like I pick the 3 most important things and everything else just kind of takes care of itself. So that's what's driving this here. You might look at this and say like, that sounds great, but this is not what you're showing us, Eric. And yeah, of course not. I'm not comfortable sharing that level of intelligence on myself on YouTube, right? But this is all powered from your daily notes. So you just keep track of what it is that you want to keep track of, whether it's your audience, whether it's your personal metrics, right? Different things like that. You can keep track of streaks and just see how they all work together. It's being populated by these format, or the front matter, pardon me, that is already getting going in Obsidian, and from there you just build out the difference metrics chart. Mine's in a separate tab where it overlaps and I can see the different correlations that way, but the rest of this stuff is just kind of like quality of life stuff. Like I can send my agent off on a research task, I can plan something, start the day, close the day. These buttons aren't mandatory. You don't need the buttons in order to like get something going, but it does make it easier, right? You could do it in the terminal, you could do it in the Codex app, right? The other nice thing is that since it is Obsidian and since these are just like text files, this same setup can be done anywhere. And I honestly think a lot of you guys could build out something very similar with like no experience. Like honestly, you just go over to Codex, talk to it, be like, I need you to build out a dashboard based on the daily notes that I'm keeping from this Obsidian structure. Boom, done. The how isn't all that hard anymore. The hard part is like the what and like how these pieces are going to fit together in the long run. For that, I'm actually building out a bunch of templates that I'm going to put in my school community as well. This is kind of the V3. It's intentionally ugly. I'm going to skin it later, but I wanted to give it all the different areas that I've found useful, right? So overview, metrics, content, intelligence, inbox. You've got your CRM with a bunch of different like navigation tabs and stuff. And then settings is like your config and preferences. I'm going to get a couple different like fun looks for this in the future, but I mean, that doesn't really matter. That's definitely a time sink. If that's you, man, you're just getting started and trying to figure out how to put these pieces out for yourself, I encourage you to check out this video on my channel. It's like best practices to build out whatever it is you want with AI, how to go in and plan and make sure things are actually done properly rather than just like winging it like all of us have done for a little while now. Also check out my school community. There's a lot of resources on how to build things out, but not just how. It's also like what, you know, what people are buying, how to find clients, how to implement this sort of thing. It's a really great resource. On top of that, if you join the premium membership, you get this entire system built out for you, like I was talking about off the top there, where it's just, I set it up, it's done. You just go in and use it and it works the way that it's supposed to out of the box. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. If you like this video, you're going to love this one over here. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.